You are listening to the Vet Podcast, presented by veterinarian Dr. Brian Greger from New Zealand. Join us as we discuss pet health issues from around the world.
There's probably a little bit of irony going on here. Those of you who listened to the last podcast will remember that I called it Am I Infectious? Funny thing, I probably am. Over the last couple of weeks, I have been suffering from shingles. Now, I don't know whether many of you know about shingles. Shingles is sort of the grown-up version of chickenpox. So it's a herpes virus infection that when I was young, as most kids in New Zealand did, I had chickenpox. With my retirement, I've spent a little bit more time out in the sun, and remember that New Zealand sun is very, very hot, plus a little bit of stress involved with a few other bits and pieces. And I have ended up with the virus getting reactivated, just the same as a cold sore virus gets reactivated, and it's caused major issues with the side of my face and with my eyes. So the downside of this is that we're actually looking at heading off over to Australia at the end of the week, so I'm not too sure whether we're going or not. But anyway, probably the moral of the story here, I'm not sure about all countries, but there is a vaccine available which greatly decreases the chances of catching shingles. So my public service announcement for the day is that if you are of an age, and they recommend over 50, so this is starting to age me a wee bit, if you are of an age and the vaccine is available, from personal experience, for goodness sakes, get vaccinated. A few years ago, there was an advertising series for the New Zealand Police Department, which sort of went along the line of join the police, get great work stories. You don't have to be a policeman in New Zealand to get great work stories. I had a case about the time that these ads were on where I was in bed and a late night call came in. And of all things, it was a drunk dog. Now, it was a dog called Roxy, a black lab. Roxy had been put away for the night. Next to her kennel were several casks of wine. The owner was in the drinks business, and these were expired stock. Roxy, being a Labrador, had to try it. We calculated that she may have drunk up to 4 litres of wine. Now, I drink a little bit of wine. 4 litres of wine, I think I'd be pretty stupid. By the time I saw her at the clinic, she was actually comatose. She was laying flat on her side, and if she was a human, you would swear that she was singing. I guess she was telling me that she was really, really sorry. I was the best friend that she ever had, and she would never do it again. Anyway, we treated her with fluids and let her sleep it off. In the morning, the clinic smelt like a student flat on a Saturday morning. Roxy was still asleep, raising her head occasionally and moaning. Do you know the feeling? I guess it is at this stage that we should have offered her a maize pie. Now, maize pie is, I guess every culture has got their hangover, don't feel too good meal. Maize pies are just this fatty mince pie that we have here in New Zealand, and a couple of Panadol. It works for me. We opted for dog food, which she ate with vigour. During the day, she got more and more responsive. When she could finally walk, or should I say stagger, the girls at the clinic took her out for a walk. Staggering across the car park, she stopped in front of a tree, looked left, looked right, and promptly walked into it. I'm supposing that she was still seeing 2 trees and picked the wrong one. She just stood there, shook herself, and picked the right one. We discharged her that evening, now quite subdued and perhaps repentant. Now, I am sure that there is a lesson here that we could all learn, but I'm afraid it's gone right over my head. I would be interested in knowing how you're finding the new format of the podcast. A little bit less scientific, a little bit more rambly, I suppose. So please email me at vetpodcast@gmail.com with any comments, positive or negative. You can always chase us up on Instagram or also on our Facebook page. Just search for Vet Podcast. If you haven't subscribed already to the Vet Podcast, remember that you can do it through Spotify, iTunes, your normal podcast player. Just search for Vet Podcast.